Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. Welcome or welcome back if you are a longtime subscriber. And to those of you who are new, I'm really enjoying watching the numbers go up. So thank you. And I just realized I don't have my microphone on. Back in a second. Oh, where to begin? I just as I was putting the microphone on, I was thinking the other complaint, because the microphone causes me to think in a complaining kind of a way, is I don't really know how to test whether one position is better than another, because I'm just not getting the feedback loop on it that I was, hoping for. I suppose I could always invest in a better microphone. Maybe these questions would be answered. So, yeah, upticking numbers. That's really great. I'm over 500 by about 125 people, and so super cool, super happy about that. And thank you so much for joining me on this adventure of book reading. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the editing, because I was in Ottawa, and I did take some footage of a bookstore that I went to, and as I'm talking, I'm thinking, did I do that on the computer or did I do that on my phone? Well, so there's all this kind of technology that I'm still just not easy with. And so also I did not speak while I was taking the video, partly because I didn't know whether I was allowed to be taking the video, and partly because speaking and videoing and walking through the bookstore was too many things to accomplish successfully. So I understand that there's a voiceover feature. We'll see. So just to kind of, in case the technology lets me down, or I let the technology down, I don't really know who's in charge. The bookstore that I went to in Ottawa was the Libraire du Soleil, and it was in the Byward Market. And that's sort of, it's kind of, if you're coming out Parliament Hill doors, it's sort of down the grass to your left. So, is it a walkable distance? I would say so, yeah. So, and if it's within sort of waving distance of the American Embassy, and so it's just down in that little section. And we did not go through the Byward Market because energy levels were really low. So we just went into the bookstore and then called an Uber and left. And the facade of this bookstore, which I did not take a picture of, is this beautiful gray stone. I don't know what kind of stone it is, but it's one of my favorites. It's just this slightly cool, slightly warm gray. It's got a teeny bit of a speckle to it, and it looks so settled and regal at the same time. I how to find out what kind of stone a building is made of. New project. So it's an old bank building. You go through the double doors and you end up in this just superlative bookstore. And I had absolutely no idea how many books could potentially be printed in French. It was a mind blower, because any of the bookstores I've ever gone to, you're lucky if you get 2 shelves worth of French. Sometimes in the children's section, they'll have, the young adult, the middle grade, and then the primary books, but it will all be sort of in a unit. So I also, when I was trying to do research as to which French book I was going to pick up for my French reading project, I was not able to find a resource that was like a newsletter or a book review title. So I think I just have to try a little bit harder. It's got to be there. and the Canadian children's book magazine, Canadian Children's Magazine, perhaps, something like that. Probably they do a French section, but over the years, I just slid past it. Anyways, we get in to the store. I'm with my daughter, and she's kind of leading me by the scruff of the neck, because I didn't know where the tables were, and so she's this way, this way, this way, this way. Well, the other thing they had, which, because I'm a puzzle suck, I saw that there were hundreds of puzzles. Hundreds. And they had 1,000 pieces, 500 pieces, 300, 200, and they ranged, of course, from difficulty, but also in age, interest levels. So you could have a 1,000-piece one that was more what's that word? Cartoonish, but then also super difficult and intricate. Oh my God. So I had to say to her, don't let me touch the puzzles, because I'll never get out of here. And she's very happily pointing out that, oh, you can buy them online. And I'm like, no, I don't need to know that information. So, yeah, I don't know if the microphone was on for that whole conversation about puzzles, but it was pretty funny, because it seemed every time I turned around to look at a bookshelf, there was also another shelf, a bookshelf of books. There was another bookshelf of puzzles. So I was very happy to discover both those things. I wandered around the store at great length before I found the level of reading level that I thought I could cope with. I completely bypassed all the adult stuff. Another thing I didn't think of is that a number of English writers are translated into French. Well, of course, I never thought of that. Anyhow, I was just thinking there's this whole group of French-Canadian writers who have not been translated, and it's my mission to open the doors to the rest of the world. And I think, pretty sure, they're doing a pretty good job of it themselves. So I can just relax and just read books that I want to read. So I did pick up 3 different middle grade novels, and I had texted my daughter-in-law, Ryan, to see, whether she had any preferences or not. And she's like, no, just go for it. And I thought, okay, I'm struggling to be able to understand, what's happening there. And yeah, these books that I chose don't have an inside description of the book either. So it was completely on the basis of the covers. And I was looking for an adventure, and I was looking for something that had more than one book in the series. Mostly because I just thought if my reading skills slowly develop, then I can stay in that series and still just keep on going and not having to search for something new. It's sort of like Ghost Bump. Is that what it's called? Ghost Bumps? No. Animal Scaries. I don't remember. But I just thought I'll choose a series that I can stick with for a little while as I get more and more comfortable with this. So this is Les Cendres du Nord. And we have got... I actually have no idea what we have because the back is in French. And I didn't think to translate it in advance. So it's going to be a demanding project. I'm pretty sure it's going to be me in the dictionary having a lot of intimate moments. And then this one, it's the same title, but this is volume 1 and this is volume 2. And they are not graphic novels, because I did look at that as an option, thinking, but then I thought that's going to go too quick. And I'm going to be able to, through the pictures, figure out what the text is saying. So I thought, no, not a graphic novel. I want to really try and develop things in terms of vocabulary and understanding verbs. Well, in the same area was this one of those roundabouts for books, and it is. Sorry, hang on a second. It's a section of books that has to do with horror, and Ryan loves a good horror story or a good ghost story or a gothic story. So Phoebe found it, my daughter found it, and we were sort of scrolling through it trying to figure out what would Ryan like. And of course, neither one of us is skillful enough to read the back. So again, it was totally on the basis of the cover. And we chose this one because it had a headless mannequin and a handless, perhaps mannequin. Maybe that's a mannequin too. Maybe he's missing an arm. Yeah, I think he's missing an arm. So something horrible is going to happen with mannequins. And it does have some images. I'm not sure they're going to help us figure out the story. And Phoebe says, oh, I'm going to join in on this one. So we ended up buying 3 copies of this book. And the other thing that this publisher does is, see on the back here, they've got 3 moons. So it's kind of like the hot pepper thing at a restaurant. So if one moon was covered in, that wouldn't be too bad of a horror. This one has 2, and you can get as horrific as 3 moons. So this is a 2. And I did not know that this was the rating system till Phoebe brought it home and explained it to me. And I'm thinking, I don't like horror. What's going to happen here? Perhaps my working through the challenges of the French will help me to just not notice the horror. I don't know. Anyways, we're looking forward to that. I don't know whether we're going to take that book with us on our trip to Holland, because that would be kind of fun to do. But I don't know how much time we're actually, the 3 of us are actually going to be able to just sit there on the, and go, oh, what does this mean, Ryan? Well, what does this mean, Ryan? So that might be a fun thing to do. But then again, if it's horror, is that the right way to start or end the day? I don't know. Questions. I did choose to take this book with me to Ottawa, the Brian Jacques Redwall series, and I'm enjoying it. I'm only on page 46, but the truth is I didn't start reading it until I was on the plane coming home, because as expected, Phoebe has a bookshelf full of books that I haven't read. There were 3 books that I hadn't read. One was just a little too complicated for my brain at that moment, and one was quite a thickie, so I thought, no, that's not very good for just being there for 2 or 3 nights. But what she had, and I loved, was Terry Pratchett's The Nation. And I did finish it, so I don't have a copy with me. And I hope I can put up a little picture. And I realized that I had read The Nation, but so long ago. I kind of remembered the first chapter, and I really remembered the last chapter. But everything in between was just a vague memory. So The Nation is about a boy called Mao, M-A-U, and a princess. Okay, Mao is native to, I didn't look this up, I'm going to say Polynesian islands. And the young girl, Daphne, is a British citizen, a white British citizen. And she's 139 people away from the throne. What's happened is her dad's been sent to be the governor of one of the larger islands down in the Polynesian islands. And he's 138 people away from the throne. So you know where that's going, right? There's in England, there's a plague. Well, you didn't expect that, but you knew that there was going to be some way that 137 people were not going to make it. So the British bureaucracy that sort of keeps the crown going, no matter who is in charge, whoever's wearing the crown, they have to fetch the governor and his daughter, who are on separate ships. So a big wave comes up, and it's like a tsunami wave, and it hits the island that Mao is on. And he's at sea when this wave hits, and his struggle is to get back to the island. He has no idea what's waiting for him. So if you think about that tsunami that hit Indonesia in 2000, I think it was. That's what he returns to. And the ship that the princess is on, her name is Ermintrude, but she decided she prefers Daphne. Her ship just ends up going sort of through the treetops of the island and lands in a sort of valley in the treetops and is stuck in the treetops. And she's the only survivor. So he's the only survivor as well. And so the two of them are trying to figure out their way through language and culture. He's still there's some metal, bowls and spears, but basically it's still a fairly, I hate using the word primitive, so let's just say early technology culture, and she's would be the equivalent of pre-Victorian era technology. So these two clashing worlds of technology have to be sorted out, and the two of them start to develop what would you call it? A repair of his culture. They're using the stuff from the ship to help facilitate it in terms of axes, and using the wood from the ship to build buildings and so on. As time passes, other survivors from the other Polynesian islands are coming to this. It's the largest of the islands in that area, so people who've survived on the smaller islands have made their way to this island. So now they're building a new population, and with that population becomes slight variations in how things were done, how the gods were worshipped on the different places, or how a food was prepared, or so on. Sacred songs are kind of the same, but a little bit different. So what version are you going to go with? So there's all that kind of interesting thing. Underneath all of this is Mao having a complete existential crisis. He is asking the questions to the gods about, why did this happen, and why not me, or why could it have, I would have preferred it if it was me and left my family alive, and what's the good of the gods, and what's the point of belief? And so all these kinds of questions are being asked by Mao to the grandfathers, who are the conduit to the gods. And the grandfathers are generations of old men who've been put behind a big rock in a cave. And so they're sort of the voices of wisdom. And they keep shouting at Mao in his head about what he's supposed to be doing, and yet he's recognizing, basically, his civilization is gone. What have the grandfathers got to say? How are they relevant anymore? And it's through Daphne that the grandmothers get a voice. And so it's just really interesting, the way the gods are speaking to the kids, but not speaking to each other, how the grandfathers have been revered, but the women have been keeping in touch with the grandmothers, not letting the men know. It's just really cool. And I laughed a lot. I did truly laugh a lot, especially when Mao encounters a pair of trousers, and that seems to be the way they distinguish between those who are belong to the nation and those who are Daphne's people. And so he encounters a pair of trousers that are so stiff with salt, and they can't, he's trying to get them on and they're just not getting on. He's never worn trousers before in his life, and let alone underpants, and so it's just, how is he going to get these on, and how does he wash them? And oh my God, these pants just cause so much trouble. So there's just a lot of humor in there in all these explorations. I think the one or two pieces, the other piece that is sort of being questioned all along by Mao is whose civilization, the nation or Daphne's, is the better civilization, because they might have all these tools, but it also removes them entirely from a relationship with understanding the tides and what the birds mean, and so it's completely non-natural civilization that Daphne comes from. So therefore you've got two different principles of undertaking and how you're going to meet society's needs. So that's a question that Mao asks Emmy is asking a whole bunch of different questions, and they're more on the practical side. There's all kinds of other things going on in that book, so there's just so much to talk about. I think it would make a pretty interesting book club book, just because of all the questions that Mao keeps asking. I think you could really sit down and chew on it in a book club situation. Or, the other thing it would do is we've got someone who's in maybe grade 9 or in high school, depending, like some provinces have got grade 9 in the junior high and some have them in the high school. I think it would make a great book for an essay. So that's what I read while I was in Ottawa. The two other things I wanted to mention to you real quickly is I have reviewed for you in the past Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury and The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And both those books are traveling through a number of book clubs. My book club people have brought it to their other book clubs. And so what's interesting is that both those books are getting like 100% love it judgments. So if you're looking for a recommendation for a book club, either of those seem to be working really well, have a lot of discussion points, and the characters are really engaging, and people seem to love both books. So I think that's it for me. There should be a clip somewhere in all of this of the bookstore in Ottawa, and I hope technically it works for all of us. That's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.